There has been much debate over whether the Indo-European language family was spread by nomadic warriors or by sedentary farmers. The first thesis espouses that Kyrgyz warrior tribes spread the language. The Kyrgyz lived among the steppes along the border of present-day Russia and Kazakhstan. They were a relatively advanced society and one of the first to be able to domesticate animals. Because of their success with breeding animals, they were able to become nomadic herders who soon started to spread in territory. Their nomadic lifestyle made them well suited to being warriors who would travel and invade nearby lands. A modern day image along the steppes of Mongolia provides a insight to what the life of the Kyrgyz might have been many years ago, with nomadic herding still popular there. The Kyrgyz began their conquest moving generally westward from their hearth into modern-day Ukraine and along the Caucasus Mountains. Over the next 500 years, they conquered much of the Balkans and moved into Central Europe as well. And then after that, the Kyrgyz sphere of influence grew to include most of Europe, except for the Iberian Peninsula, and also continued to spread south from the Caucasus Mountains into Anatolia and towards present-day Iran. With the spread of the Kyrgyz population, their Proto-Indo-European language was also spread with them. The theory goes that due to their conquest of land, the Kyrgyz spread their language out from the hearth to large swaths of the present territory that the Indo-European languages currently occupy. However, the other theory, the sedentary farmer thesis, denies that it was the Kyrgyz who spread the language. Instead, they insist that the language spread started more than 2,000 years before the Kyrgyz in eastern Anatolia. This region bore witness to the first group of people to stay in generally one area, using more advanced agricultural techniques to grow their own food, as opposed to hunting and gathering. Their agricultural techniques allowed for a more steady amount of food to be produced for a group, which led to a higher rate of reproductive success. This depiction of Neolithic farming is an example of techniques that might have been used by this population in eastern Anatolia. As people were more likely to survive in these populations, they started to gain more land. The spread of both the Proto-Indo-European language and their farming techniques went hand in hand. They first spread into modern Iran and around the Caspian Sea into actually what the hearth of the Kyrgyz would later be. Around this time, they also spread west into Greece, and over the next 1,000 years, they spread into the Balkans, Italy, and Spain, which was a region that the Kyrgyz actually never reached. And then in the 1,000 years after that, they completed their conquest of the British Isles and of eastern Ukraine. The techniques and language reportedly further went through Central Europe and reached most of the European continent. However, I believe that the nomadic warrior theory is more convincing. The spread of ideals is more likely through war than peace. Many times, conquering people have brought their language and culture with them, providing a very easy way to spread their ideals. This has been seen in the numerous conquests of England that paved the way for the English language, or the Spanish bringing their language to Latin America, where it is now the predominant form of communication. This spread of language through war seems to be a common trend in human history, and it makes sense that the Kyrgyz were ones to spread the Proto-Indo-European language. I find the spread of agricultural techniques carrying language with them to be a process that is not necessarily stable. These people don't have much motivation for moving from their homeland, whereas the Kyrgyz in conquering land clearly do. Moving from their homeland is what carries the language to new people in the most efficient way. While both seem to be supported by some evidence, I find the Kyrgyz hypothesis more likely.